Part two of interviews of some of your favorite players on the St. Louis Blues comes your way next.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And a good day to you, and welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about our St. Louis Blues on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's episode of Locked On Blues, you will be seeing the interview of the one and only Robert Thomas. We know it's already Robert Thomas season, always, every day, all day. Zachary Bolduc, and of course, Ruzi Jordan Kyrou. So a lot of interviews to play today. These are the final three interviews from my day being in the locker room with them in Philadelphia. Just as a little thing, if you didn't know, actually, I feel like I should kind of explain on this episode. If you didn't watch the last episode, I live in Philadelphia. Hi, newsflash, yes. And the Blues come to Philadelphia once a season. And I was able to get my credential. I mean, I already have credentials, but I was able to get my Blues credentials. And I was able to go to their morning skate and go to the post-game press conference. Now, this is true with most NHL teams. And I didn't say this on my last episode. Usually when you do see interviews like one-on-ones or anything exclusive, usually it is after a morning skate. Never before a game and never after a game. After the game is solely on the game. So usually at the practice facilities, even if it's just like a regular practice, you will see interviews done then, or you will see them after morning skate. But they're never going to be like right before a game and not ever immediately after a game. Just as a little disclaimer for those that don't know the media side to things of the National Hockey League. Now, each organization is different. I've been in plenty of locker rooms, and I can tell you there are very few that allow you to record on your phone a video, not audio. Most of the time it's audio, so you have to go to your little voice memo app and open it up, and you just hold your phone like that, and you ask the questions. All right, how do you think your performance in tonight's game was? The answer. Can you walk us through the moment that you were able to score that hat trick tonight? Answer. Now that you're coming back from injury, you get so forth and so yeah. Usually it's a lot of questions that are just dealing with the game. However, during after a morning skate, you're able to be a little bit more fluid and ask some more questions. Robert Thomas, I made a beeline for him because, well, one, it's Robert Thomas. My bio literally says it's Robert Thomas season, and I do believe that he is the best player on the St. Louis Blues, and I talk about him the most on this podcast, so I really wanted to speak to him. Now, with all that in mind, I am not used to being able to record video. Usually it's audio. I'm in a locker room. It's me and like maybe one other person who's their PR person. That's not a player. So it wasn't a whole bunch of people at that moment. Kevin Hayes, I think, was speaking to media about, being back in Philadelphia. So a lot of my friends that are also the Flyers reporters were talking to Kevin. So it basically was just me going around to the different players. And mind you, within that 10 minutes, I had to pull out my phone, get out the video, had to make sure it was aligned. So there was a lot that had to be done in that 10 minutes that I had. And that's usually typically the time after morning skate. So anywho, going back to this interview with Robert Thomas, I think I messed up one statistic on him and I corrected myself as I was doing it. And no, it was not to make him feel bad. It just was I wanted to get it right. So now that disclaimer, it's always so awkward, right? Because this was done in March, and I know to you that might be oh, that wasn't that long ago. It feels like forever ago, but I knew I was going away on this trip. And I waited to film, honestly, just because, well, I'm leaving tomorrow, and I filmed 6 episodes today. But I waited to do this because in case something breaking happened. It happened actually a couple weeks ago because of the offer sheets, but I thought I would wait up until the last minute. Nothing really happened with the Blues. So in that case, it's interview time. All that being said, I'm going to play you the Robert Thomas interview. Again, these are short interviews because, again, I had 10 minutes for a whole bunch of players. And then after you hear it, I will kind of commentate on what I thought. So without further ado, here is the man, the myth, the legend, Robert Thomas. So this season, obviously, you've had a guy like Jake Neighbors who's had a phenomenal season. Do you feel like he's taken any mentorship through you at all?
Yeah, I think a lot of guys. He's a guy that he's a quick learner. He likes asking questions. He likes getting around the guys, and I think it's done him really well. I think he's been probably one of our bright spots this year, and it's really a big part of our future. So it's really nice to see him step up.
And you individually, you've had a really good season leading the team with assist points. What has that been like for you, having a season like this where you've been to the All-Star game and you've really captivated the whole city?
Yeah, it's been nice. I think I still got a long way to go, but it's a step in the right direction of where I think I can be in my career, and those little steps are important to making big steps. So that's what I thought of.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so it wasn't as bad as I thought with the whole, correcting the statistic. But I wanted to ask about Jake Neighbors, and I know I asked this to Captain Branson as well, because Jake wasn't available. Only certain players were available during media availability after skate. Just, he might have had, some off the ice workouts that he had to do. I don't know. I don't get into that business. That's the player's personal stuff to deal with. Anyways, I like what he had to say about him, how he was growing a lot as a player. And I think that Robert Thomas playing a lot of Neighbors kind of has more of that perspective on him. I know Shen played with him a little bit, but not a whole lot. So it was nice hearing from Robert Thomas what he thought about Jake Neighbors. Also, yeah, Robert Thomas, he was to the All-Star game. He's done a lot and he really has captivated the city. And, even his response of being, there is still a long way for me to go and for me to work on. I think it just goes to show the kind of person that he is, that he's humble. And I think having a player like that who is so well rounded, right? Besides what he does on the ice, being able to say, hey, I still have things to work on. I still have things I want to grow on as a player. It just goes to show that we have not seen his full potential yet. And at 25 years old, because Robert Thomas turned 25, I'm a little bit older than him, which is crazy because he's a great hockey player. No, I'm not putting myself down. I'm just saying it gets crazy how we're the same age, but yet going on. He just has so much that he can still achieve at such a young age. And I think that right now, again, the Blues have 12 players that are 25 years of age or younger that they drafted in the first round, and Robert Thomas is one of them. So I think it just goes to show that this is a player that you are going to see a lot from. You're going to see so much from Robert Thomas this upcoming season. I believe that he is going to have maybe even a better season than he did last season, but you cannot underestimate Robert Thomas whatsoever. And I think that's what makes this so exciting about him. So before I go any further, because I need to tell you about my friends, because I do have some friends over at FanDuel, okay? So you've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. You can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com. Download America's #1 sportsbook. You know I love the NFL. The NFL is one of my favorite things ever besides the NHL over NFL. But we don't have a football team here in St. Louis because the Rams are no longer here, which sucks. But I always say this, bet your futures, right? So I would have the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens in the Super Bowl this year. I think that's going to happen. I believe these are two very strong teams. I obviously trust and love Jalen Hurts. But then if you look at the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson is one of the most well-rounded QBs in the league. I mean, you can make the argument for the Chiefs to go back again. And Patty Mahomes is one of the best, and there was no denying that. But come on. Being in St. Louis, you can't do the whole Chiefs thing, right? We all knew the real team in Missouri was the Rams, but I guess not if they're no longer here. That was some bad logic on my end on that one. But yes, it is football season, and I am super excited. So bet those futures now so you can get the most money for your buck. Again, that is FanDuel.com. And besides that, I just want to also say YouTube TV, if you bet, are you kidding me? That is such a good deal. Something that I'm going to have to, I already have FanDuel, but If you don't have FanDuel, please download FanDuel because this is something that you literally need to take advantage of ASAP Fergusap. I am losing my mind. So I'm going to play for you actually 3 more interviews. I say 4 because there is another interview that I'm going to play that I don't have listed that I thought of, and that is going to be of Adam Yurchek that we just drafted. But obviously, Zach Bolduc. Zach Bolduc is such a great player, such great potential. After the whole offer sheet debacle situation, Doug Armstrong had a media availability where he even said that he believes that Zachary Bolduc has the potential to be a top 6. Now, do I think that's possible? I mean, anything in life is possible. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But the fact that he said that he thinks that Bolduc can be a top 6 forward just really goes to show that there is that confidence within the organization when it does come to him. So hear from yourself from Zachary Bolduc. So ever since you've been brought up to the St. Louis Blues, you seem to really be impressing fans. Can you tell us a little bit about, what's it like been scoring and really getting the city going behind you?
Yeah, I mean, the fans are amazing in St. Louis. We had a huge game on Saturday night, and they were there. It was pretty fun. My family was there too, so it's kind of cool. So yeah, I like the crowd. It's pretty.
And you had your 21st birthday, and you got a goal on the same day. What was that like for you to have that kind of experience?
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. I mean, my 21st birthday, and I scored my first goal, so it was a huge day for me, and yeah, I'm pretty happy and just looking forward to the next few games. Yeah.
Cool, awesome. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. He talked about his goal on his birthday, and he talked about how his parents were in attendance for him. And overall, you can just tell that he is just so excited to be there and just so proud to be wearing the blue note. And I watched Bolduc, when he was with the T-Birds, and I can say this that you are getting a player with a lot of good energy, a lot of good skill, and he does have a lot to offer the St. Louis Blues team. So he is a player that does have that potential. But again, I don't necessarily think, and it's nothing against him, I think that he would be fine on the 3rd or 4th line. I just do not see him being within the first 2 lines with all the talent that the Blues acquired in this offseason, especially, Holloway, I would say, might be better than Bolduc, but we need to see more out of Holloway 100%. But Bolduc is still young. He's 21 years old. That is still young. I was going to say, I remember when I was 21, and it just made me realize that I feel like I'm so old right now, but young 20s, all these, between Holloway, Bolduc, you also have Dvorsky, who's going to try to make the team this season. You just have so many players that have a lot of potential. So I was really impressed with his answer. Okay, next, we have a player that got a lot of bit of heat this season, and that was Jordan Kyrou. I'm a big Ruzy fan. You already know that. And Kyrou kind of was talking about the playoff push. Now, I know the Blues didn't make the playoffs this season, but they were in contention, right? And they had to win these games. The Blues obviously won that night. They gained the 2 points in the shootout win. But the reason why I felt like it was so important for me to talk to Jordan Kyrou about this, he is so passionate when it comes to this team. And he does truly care about the Blues' success and overall well-being. And he really does embody what being a St. Louis Blue is. So with that said, listen to Jordan Kyrou talk about the Blues' strive to make the playoffs. I know it didn't happen, but I did like what he had to say. So here is Jordan Kyrou. So this season, I would say this is a pretty good season for you. How do you feel like it's going thus far with, heading towards the end?
I mean, I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. These are exciting times. Right there in the playoff race, right? We're a couple points out, so we got a couple big games ahead of us. Right?
You have a big, trip up in the East. You have Philadelphia, then you head out, to New Jersey, New York. What do you think about these games as they're really crucial as you're still fighting for that wild card spot?
Yeah, so like I said, these are big games, right? So they're exciting games to play in. We got something to play for right now, so we're all pretty pumped up.
I love they said he's pumped up, but they are big games and they were meaningful games that the Blues had to play. So I want to leave it at this. The St. Louis Blues have so much potential. And Kyrou knew that, these were really big games, and those 2 points were big in Philadelphia. They went to the Islanders and completely blew their 2-0 lead, which is a game I talk about a lot on this podcast. That game annoyed me highly because they really should have won, but they didn't. And it was just completely awful to see them kind of go down like that. But with all things being said, this Blues team, it's exciting. It is so exciting. And part of that excitement too, and I just also one last thing. my words. I'm hitting the delusional state of my life. But you had Jordan Kyrou say a couple things about, Coach Berube, and got a lot of backlash. He got booed at like his home ice. Like that's not okay. And just he had to endure a lot of things. So I do believe that, Kyrou kind of does carry that stuff, right? That probably does have an impact on him. So I do like that, he said it was a good season overall. He didn't focus on any of the negative this season because it was a good season. He did play good hockey. He made some really good goals. I mean, you could tell that he was definitely developing a lot better. He was just becoming a stronger skater on the ice. So we saw a lot of positive out of him this season. Being said, when you see a lot of positive out of a player, you think, well, what else can they do? How else can they elevate their game? And I believe this upcoming season, like, do I think that Kyrou is going to be so significantly better? No, but I think that fans will 100% appreciate his efforts a little bit more. I think that with all the backlash this past season and how much he cares about being here in St. Louis, I think he will be appreciated some more. And I think that's a very positive thing. So, all of that being said, I want to focus to another positive, which is one of our draft picks, our first round draft pick in this year's draft, 16th overall, Adam Yurchek. I was in Las Vegas covering two different NHL teams, one, of course, being the St. Louis Blues. And the Blues had one first round draft pick, Adam Yurchek. So here is what he had to say after being selected, an exclusive one-on-one, by the way, which was so cool at the draft. Are you kidding me? But I told you I was going to make something happen, and here is Adam Yurchek. So can you describe to me what it feels like to be a St. Louis Blue?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. I really happy to be in this organization, and before the draft, I've had a couple of meetings with the guys, and I really like this organization. I'm really happy to be there.
And obviously today is your birthday, so talk me through that. When your name was called today, what was that feeling like for you?
Yeah, I really don't celebrate my birthday today because I was left, but yeah, it's crazy to be drafted on my birthday. Yeah, and when I got drafted, it's pretty amazing feeling, and I really enjoy it.
And can you tell me what your strongest skill sets are defensively that fans can look forward to seeing?
Yeah, I think I'm two-way defenseman, so I can play the both sides and be like I can help in both sides my team, and yeah, I'm an aggressive player, so when I play, I put 100% of me to gain a win. So yeah. So yeah, you didn't see Adam Yurchek, by the way, at rookie development camp because he was out due to knee injury, which is why I kind of feel like he dropped a little bit in the draft. However, I did have Adam Yurchek being selected by the St. Louis Blues at 16th overall. I feel like this is a very strong selection, and I really do like him. And again, it just goes to reassure how I feel about him. Now, another draft pick that is making headlines right now is DeBoer Dvorsky, and we picked him 10th overall in last year's draft. And, Doug Armstrong had a lot of positives that he said about Dvorsky. And again, we all know how I feel about him. We all know how I feel about my certain players, right? I talk about this a lot here on Lockdown Blues about some of the players that I feel very strongly about. But it is one of those things where I do feel like he has the potential and the ability to really be a key player for this team. When it comes to Dvorsky, right, there's so much skill that he has, a lot of skill that, you're not going to really find anywhere else. I mean, he is so strong. And Dvorsky, he basically, in summary, said, I'm going to try to make it. I'm going to do the best that I can do to make it. I want to improve and just be the best version of myself, blah, 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 all that. Doug Armstrong said that he feels like Dvorsky can make the team and it's up to him. So there is that sense of confidence within your GM, which really should give Dvorsky even more confidence. There is just so much positive when it comes to the St. Louis Blues team and what the organization is doing overall. So I do think that having Dvorsky, having a Bolduc, having just a younger core, you have a Robert Thomas, a Jordan Kyrou, you have a lot of players that are young and are going to make big impacts on the ice. With that being said,
I am so excited about the future of this team. Excited to see what they do. I will talk to you soon. I know that you're like, oh, I'm seeing episodes all the time. I'm in Europe. I'll be back soon. And hopefully, if anything breaking were to happen, I will address it. But I hope that this was a fun little bit of episodes where you could kind of see the Blues, not always so serious and some lightheartedness. I will talk to you. And like always, let's go Blues.